Now, we begin our morning over in Lambeth, where private tenants in 144 properties are being evicted because the council wants to get back the homes that they live in. Now, this comes after Lambeth Council has been looking to regenerate 5 estates in the area. All the residents are currently renting privately from the council via local letting agents, and they've been told that their tenancies won't be renewed and that they need to find somewhere else to live. Now, the council, they're saying that the tenancies were always a short-term measure. However, let's talk to one of the residents in that estate. Mylene Lejuste joins me now. A very good morning to you, Mylene.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Tell me a little bit about how long you've lived there in the property and what it's like.
We actually moved there. It was in Jan 22, so it's been a bit longer than 2 years. And it's just been lovely being there. It was really the perfect family home. The neighbours are lovely. The community around is very nice and very supportive.
And Mylene, when you moved in, what was the terms of your agreement? And did the council say to you this is going to be a short-term let?
No, to be honest with you, when we signed the contract, so we signed it through the local estate agent, as you mentioned, but it has never been transparent. We never knew that we were actually renting from the council. So the landlord that we had on our tenancy agreement is mentioned as, is stated as HfL. So we had no clue of what HfL was standing for. So it's after that we've discovered that it was actually for Homes for Lambeth that is linked to the council. It was a long-term living for us. It was for us to make it a home for the family and to build a community there, relationship around. So we've never been told that the council was involved.
And so, Mylene, you're still there with your family. You haven't been evicted, but what has happened?
So what has happened is that we signed the contract end of Jan 22, and in May 22, we actually discovered a leak on the roof, and we've been contacting the agency for the repairs to be done many times. And then unfortunately, 2 years later, our ceiling collapsed. So we finally been moved to a temporary accommodation. It was, just the day before Christmas. And it was supposed to be temporary for a few weeks. This is what we've been told, but we're still there at the moment.
And so when is your lease up in your actual house that you've been living in for the last 2 years?
In February, early February, they actually sent us an email to say that they wouldn't renew the contract, that our landlord won the property back.
That's the first time you discovered that the council was actually your landlord. And when does your lease end? When do you have to be out by?
They say end of July.
End of July. So you've got 2 months basically to get sorted. And what are your plans, if I may ask, Mylene? Is it about staying in the borough? Are you trying to fight this basically end of your contract? What is it for you? Because the council is saying that they need the properties back for homeless people on the waiting list. The council have actually said that there's over 43,000 people on the housing waiting list, and it's seeking to use all the properties it can to support those families most affected by the housing crisis. The properties in question are former right-to-buy homes that the council has bought back, and we're planning to use them to provide vital housing for homeless families in our borough.
We've tried to look in the area for similar house, and there's nothing affordable for us. So obviously we don't want to move. And once again, there's so many other empty properties in the estates that could be filled up first instead of getting evicted. As I said, we really want to fight because we don't think it's fair. Since day one, we've been given their intention that we wanted to stay.
And listen, I totally appreciate the uncertainty and having to move, and it's never what you want when you're settled with your family, especially when you're next to local schools, etc. But I'm just wondering, if you privately rent, that landlord can take it back at any time. That's part of the uncertainty and one of the cons, I suppose, that comes with private renting, that at any time the landlord who owns that could want it back. And in this case, the council does want it back, and they want it back allegedly, what they're telling us, they want it back so that they can put homeless people off the street and off temporary accommodation into it. I mean, do you have sympathy with that and for that?
Of course I do. I think it's a human right for everyone to have a decent home. I think it's a scandal to have homeless people, obviously. But at the same time, as I said, there's nowhere where we can go at the moment. The price of the house are so high. We can't afford anything higher than what we are actually currently paying.
Yes, and it's of course something that so many Londoners are really struggling with. We talk about that a lot on the programme. I suppose what I want to get to the heart of, Mylene, is do you think this is unfair because, of course, it's just horrible and it's an awful situation to be in? Or do you think it's unfair because some misjustice has been done?
I think it's unfair because they haven't been honest since day one. Because from the beginning, we told them that our intention to make it our home, to be there as a long term. So if from day one they would have been transparent, saying that it was only for a short term tenancy agreement, we would probably not have moved in. Since day one, I've been emailing the agent, asking them what is the link with the council. I mean, it was really not transparent since day one.
So do you blame the estate agent? It sounds like you weren't given the full information by the estate agent. I suppose I wonder where you feel that blame lies.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we're dealing with the agent, so they haven't been transparent to us.
Well, just to point out, Acorn Lettings and Orlando Reed, they've both been approached for comment, but we haven't heard back from them. Mylene, what are you hoping happens? Are you hoping the council changes their mind and lets you stay longer?
Yes, definitely. Because as I said, we just been in the house for 3 months before we discovered the leak. And since then, we had to cut the power on the ceiling. We just feel like no one cared about us.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we've been paying our rent. We haven't done anything wrong. And nothing has been done for us, really. And at the end, they're just telling us, oh, we need the property back. We just feel like, it's not right.
Okay. And what are your neighbours saying about having to move as well? What's the general sentiment from people on the estate?
Some of them want to stay, some of them has already left, and some of them are about to leave.
So it's upsetting for everyone regardless. Having to move like that is never a good situation for anyone to uproot families. Mylene, listen, thank you so much for your time this morning. I hope you keep us updated with what happens.